Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 52 of the Sofa Manager Scottish Football Podcast. And on this week's show, is Scottish football dead? No, it is alive!
And kicking.
And kicking. That's a good reference. So we're going to have a little bit of a response to this week's Copa 90 mini-documentary, clickbaitedly entitled Is Scottish Football Dead? Garnering some angry reactions from ourselves and I think some other Scottish football fans who couldn't spell or type, judging by the comment section on Copa 90, unfortunately. I'm sure Pie and Bovril's exactly the same. We'll also be talking about the Rangers turmoil with Kenny Miller and Lee Wallace being banned after some things they said post-match. Of course, happened just after we published the podcast.
Absolutely, yep.
Brilliant timing there. And their new kit deal with Hummel. Or Hummel? Hummel.
I don't know.
So we talk kind of other sort of cult hero footballing brands that we don't see enough of these days, and also where we used to buy them. Anyway, I am one of your hosts and Scotland's ropiest footballing announcer, Paul Menzies, and alongside me is barbecuing expert and soon-to-be Sofa Manager's barbecue YouTuber. It is John Barbecue Brown. Hello, John.
Hello.
You got a new barbecue this week, invited us round, didn't you?
That was great.
A big shiny thing, and we are going to have a spin-off, a wee tutorial as to how you set these things up.
Aye, Scottish barbecue. Properly.
Exactly, there we go. So while I finish my gulp of very manly beer, as in, of course, Swedish cider, we shall get straight on into it. Right, our first topic, Copa 90 this week. You know, a YouTube channel we quite like.
Aye, no, okay, we do.
They do some quite good, away days coverage, things like that, stuff that's quite interesting. Put up something on Scottish football, which is quite rare.
Reasonably rare, they're doing okay.
Aye. Last thing I think they did some really kind of poor old firm stuff, which didn't really hit the right note. But this video was entitled "Is Scottish Football Dead?" and they went round asking a bunch of Scottish football fans, "Is it dead?" Some of the responses they got were quite funny. Aberdeen fans were like, "No, but we do get pumped by Celtic on a regular basis." Some St Mirren fans responded, "Well, we're St Mirren fans," which answered nothing. It was unhelpful to the cause. Meanwhile, in Dundee, yes, Scottish football is dead is the answer, which I think is understandable from their point of view. But what did you take from the little, was it kind of 4 minutes?
Aye, 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes.
That'd be fair enough. It's a reasonable question to ask. It's a very English question, given that they only ever see the results, they don't ever watch the games. They have their own opinion of it, and it'll never change. I like Copa 90, but this was a letdown, a real letdown. I was jumping on a bandwagon.
I was disappointed, yes, in the kind of editorial of it. I thought they presented all the views kind of evenly and stuff, but what they were really probing at was
like, yes, it's rubbish. Go on, just say it.
Yeah, they want us to die effectively because it gives us more of a narrative, and that's not what they got. From the football fans talking to them.
No, and it's true in what you see in the stands now. I think Scottish football, certainly last season, this season, it's on an upward trend. There's a better feeling about it at the moment. National side, you take them out of the equation.
Yeah, but England have a rubbish national side as well. I think, obviously a lot of comparisons to be drawn. And, scrolling through the comments section eagerly as I was whilst I was trying to plug the podcast. So if you're here, welcome, hi. Please stay and subscribe. But it was very much of, from the Scottish fan side of things, it's the passion of our game, versus the English game.
Which is soulless, but brilliant quality.
Well, is it? I mean,
there's a good quality in the English game, no doubt.
Yeah, but see the games I watched at the weekend, side by side on Saturday afternoon, where it was Hibs against Celtic and West Brom versus Liverpool.
Aye.
Now, until the last 10 minutes, the West Brom-Liverpool game was dire. The place was quiet, it was
like
eerie.
half empty.
Meanwhile, you turn to BT Sport, the volume just pumps in.
Oh, it was great, and it was a fantastic game. It was a terrific advertisement for Scottish football.
Right after the video was published, Shabon.
Yes, get in. It just kind of shows, though, that when something really matters, and we've discussed it the last couple of weeks, when something's on the line in Scotland, the fans are there, they're up for it, and the atmosphere is incredible.
Well, I think one of the arguments the video tried to put across was, is there always something on the line, especially when it comes to things like the league?
Aye, Yeah, they've got a point there. The league's effectively won on day one.
Yes.
With Celtic at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else is to play for. What, you got 3 European places up for grabs.
Well, the last 2 years it is, Celtic on for a double treble here.
Mm-hmm.
Without any of us getting a sniff, really at a real trophy since the demise of Rangers, essentially.
And the fact that you would just point to Rangers as the only other competitor as well.
I know. But the thing was, the Dundee fan that said football was dead made a really good point in that, if teams just went for it and thought, and it was a very simple point, and just, didn't think, Celtic, we're right up for this. Because you look at teams that have gone at Celtic this season,
Kilmarnock,
Hibs, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, all got something off them. I was thinking to myself as an Aberdeen fan, the only time we've ever gone at Hibs was the Scottish Cup final last season. It's the closest they ever pushed them.
Aye.
And as soon as they went defensive, it all went to pot.
There is a fear factor when you come against the Old Firm. Even Rangers, who are utterly useless at the moment, there's still that
I'll come to that
mindset that you have to defend against them when you go to Ibrox, and when they come to your own ground, it's all very tense and stuff like that. But Hibs proved at the weekend, if you really went for the jugular, you have every chance. What have you got to lose in that circumstance? Exactly. And it's much more exciting as well.
It is. Brilliant game. And huge credit, by the way. I don't know what BT are doing with their microphones, but they make Scottish football sound
superb. See, when you compare it to the rubbish Sky produce.
I know. Well, on the opposite end of things, watching that Hibs Celtic game, watching the Rangers Hearts game today.
Miserable.
Stark difference. The place was quiet, and I understand why it was quiet.
And there's a tense atmosphere about the place as well. For both sets.
But you've got Chris Boyd and the two Chrissies. It's no great. But we've touched on that before. I think another thing in the comment section though was drawing comparisons with the quality of Scottish football and where our teams would end up. Some of the more ill-informed people would we'd barely make it in the Championship. A lot of them were saying none of our teams would make it in the Premier League. I think there's an argument to be made for someone like Celtic.
It's all relative. You could put them as they are at present, with sort of no back history in it, and they would struggle. Every single team in Scotland would struggle in the English leagues. However,
so where would you, out of interest, where would you put them?
Celtic at the moment, they'd be probably fighting relegation in the Premiership. Rangers would be mid-table in the English Championship. Brutally honest.
Right.
But, and this is the real bit that everyone seems to just kind of ignore subtly, is that, say Celtic and Rangers did enter the Premier League.
Yes.
Think of the revenue that they would get and the attractiveness. Now, if you're, say, a guy who's moving into the Premier, if you're Mauro Gabbiadini, right? You went to Southampton last January.
Seems like forever ago, but aye.
Decent striker at the time.
Yeah.
Going out of Italy. Would you rather go to Southampton, or would you rather go and play for Rangers or Celtic and have that kind of hype and idolism?
In an ideal world, you would go up and play for Rangers and Celtic.
Yes,
exactly.
Of course you would. The attractiveness is there, and you would end up taking the talent that's kind of mid-table in the Premiership at the moment would go to Rangers and Celtic, and they would build on it.
Well, they could easily be. You draw the Swansea and Cardiff parallels with an attendance of like 50,000-60,000 a week. You could easily go
50,000-60,000 a week is probably the top 6. There's only
probably top 3 or 4, really.
Old Trafford, the Emirates, Tottenham's new stadium, and Anfield are the only 4 stadiums I can think of, in St James's Park.
They don't seem to turn attendances into success, unfortunately.
Well, but there's every reason that Rangers and Celtic could be challenging for Europe. They could be challenging for the English League, given the kind of 3 or 4 years transition, and they get that Premier League money. They're unstoppable at that stage, and that's why they would never get given entrance.
That's the thing. I think Celtic got £28 million for that recent Champions League run.
Imagine how much they would have got if they were in the English Premier League.
Well, I know. Well, everyone's like, woo, £28 million. I'm like, in this day and age, is it really that much?
It's a lot of money in Scotland. It's
a huge amount of money in
Scotland. It's sweetie money down in England.
But you look at what Wolves to go up this year signed that Ruben Neves boy for £16 million, and that is an anomaly within itself. But that's over half of what Celtic would get for their Champions League money. They're also sitting on some Virgil van Dijk money somewhere as well. So it's never going to happen in our lifetime, though. I don't
think they would ever move down. The only reason they would ever move down is if the English League, as a kind of attractiveness for broadcasters and whatnot
Let them
started
in.
to wane. It's an injection at that stage to
Yeah.
kind of, oh, now look at what we're doing. We've got Rangers and Celtic in the leagues.
But then what happens to the European places, you know?
Well, it becomes a challenge then in England. And
Yeah.
it's hard to say what would really happen in Scottish football. It
Well,
would
see-
become far less attractive for broadcasters and TV money, but your league becomes more competitive.
Well, I think now, when Rangers left, you know, the top division, there wasn't a lot of excitement around it. You know, a lot of the times it was Celtic top, it was Motherwell second, then Aberdeen took up that mantra. It was very much a procession, in a sense, and only but then we lost. You know, we didn't just lose Rangers, we lost Hearts, Hibs, Dundee United in one fell
all in
swoop.
that kind of 2 seasons.
Aye, so that killed it, and I think only now is it getting more exciting to the point where we've got 3 more teams. Like that battle for second is the most exciting thing going just now.
Aye, and that's great.
I know.
You that should be very much. It should be talked up as that is a big positive.
Well,
and
as my predictions, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Aberdeen second, Hibs third, and Rangers fourth, which is there's every chance of happening right
Yes.
now. Every chance.
just to save face.
I know. Kilmarnock totally fluffed my predictions, but you know, by the by. But you know, I think it is an interesting comparison. You know, you look at players down south that we've sent. You know, Jayden Stockley couldn't get in the Aberdeen team, is pumping in goals in League Two at the moment. A few of them dodging about League One. You know, Mulgrew.
I've seen Liam Boyce scored for
They sent Sunderland down,
for Burton
but an Albion, who themselves I think are going down.
probably as well, but it was still quite funny.
Oh, exactly. You know, Molt's in the Championship, so our top players
Aye.
seem to be Championship level.
And the fact that sort of if you take Rangers themselves, was it Wycon's down playing for Preston or Ipswich?
Doing well,
I
aye.
don't know, the
Ipswich,
two.
I think.
Barry Mackay's away. Same time as well. You know, these kind of guys go down, they don't go well. Steve Davis, mainstay in that Southampton team. Van
Captain
Dijk, you know, you keep going on and on and on.
But then, you know, you watch like an English Championship game on telly. I think I watched 5 or 10 minutes of Cardiff against Nottingham Forest. It's rubbish.
That is rotten.
It is really.
English Championship games are terrible, but they probably say the same about Scottish Premiership games.
Well, if you watch the Hibs Celtic game, no. If you watch the Rangers Hearts game,
Definitely.
yes.
It all depends on what you're kind of. I can understand when Englishman would kind of say Scottish football's rubbish. He doesn't really have an interest in it,
No.
and we don't have an interest in the English League, English Championship, so we'll say it's rubbish.
That's my thing. Like all my focus right now is probably on the Scottish leagues, and I'm not even that bothered about the English Premier League anymore.
Not really. I mean, I watched the semi-final, the Chelsea and Southampton. Dreadful game. Atmosphere was soulless.
Well, even that, you know, watching even that Man United Tottenham game, you compare, you know, us at the semi-final last week, the Motherwell fans' reaction to scoring to win that game to the Man United fans.
Aye, with the phones.
Aye, it is night and day, and you know, we are a more passionate bunch. I think is what it comes down to. I mean, I know there are the hardcore, but
It's a dwindling entity on the stands. As more sort of tourists and plastic fans kind of start.
it's commercial. You know, I was watching Watford were playing Crystal Palace. You know, Asian advertising everywhere, Asian sponsors on their shirts. You know, it's just gone, hasn't
Aye,
it?
it's just an advertising gimmick at the moment.
But even then, the big companies aren't investing. You know,
Some are, some aren't. It all depends. If you've got like a Chinese billionaire owner,
it's just the way it goes.
you're going to kind of suck it up.
No, well, Scottish football, the fun is where. Although, saying that, I think the quality of our Premiership football can be decent. Watching some Championship highlights, it could be amateur to non-league at
There's
points.
a stark difference between maybe 16 teams
Yes.
and then another sort of. There's a big cut off and then it drops down into part-time rubbish.
But do you think that's the problem with our league? Is the way they're divided? Is there's actually huge divisions within the league, to the point where, you know, if you drop down below the top six, you know, say the top six were Championship / Premier League teams, the bottom six would be like League 1 / League 2. Then the Championship you're going down in like non-league. And then you get Brecon, who are rank amateurs. And then you get everyone else who's just like, you know.
Don't know. That's a very strange point. I'm confused.
Well, I'm just saying there's a big gap in between teams within the same league. It's not competitive in some circumstances.
It's all every league's like that though.
To the same
are.
extent as our leagues, though.
Yes, no doubt. Look at Spanish leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the German leagues to an extent.
Yeah.
But the Scottish leagues, it's quite pronounced because you do see it. like I say, the top 16, if you take, maybe even more than that,
Mhm.
if you take, I don't know, top 6 as it is at present, fair enough, in the Premiership.
Mhm.
If you take the bottom 6, plus maybe the top 8 out of the 10 teams
Mhm.
in the Championship,
Not much to split.
broadly speaking, are all much for muchness.
Yeah,
And then it drops down. Then it's Dumbarton and Brecon and League One
It's
teams that are
everyone
all
else.
roughly the same size.
it's everyone else.
Maybe we go Wraith and Ayr as like an intermediary. It's
Wraith go top. Did you see that?
I was watching their game as well.
Oh, did you see that on BBC Halba?
That penalty was the worst thing I've ever seen.
They bust loads of fans there as well. Nearly 2,000 Ayr fans. So the heat is on there. But no, we love Scottish football. We'll continue to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And I think it's better.
We enjoy it more than we do the English leagues.
Yes, it holds more interest to me than English football. So no, anywhere elsewhere in Scotland with Scottish football problems, the Glasgow Rangers.
Hey,
This could be a weekly feature.
it's a podcast
At
in
this
itself.
point. You know, Kenny Miller and Lee Wallace banned after dressing room bust up after Old Firm game. Today, they beat Hearts, and then Candias runs, when he celebrates his second goal, straight past Murty to Candias. So, what does this tell us, John?
Not much. I don't know if he was. If you want to read into it, yeah, you probably could say it's a bit a shun
It's
of
a
the
move.
manager.
It's a move.
They go and go, oh, we're all together in the dressing room, player wise. I don't know what the kind of situation is with Murty. He did kind of pat him on the shoulder as he ran past, as much as he said congratulations. But there is, you could maybe say there's a divide. It's hard to say though.
I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
I
think it's very clear that Murty's lost the dressing room in the respect of all the players at this point.
maybe.
The fact
Maybe. I don't think it really can.
The fact that Halliday was on the bench today was a total sham. You know, you react like, right, you do that because, you know, in the pre-match, did you watch the Scottish Football Extra on BT before the Hibs game?
No, I was too hungover.
Quite right. And that's another thing. Sky call their equivalent Scottish Football Matters, which I feel like is a desperate cry.
Which is two ex-Old Firm players talking to Hayley McQueen. Like.
I know, but it's like Scottish Football Matters, I swear. But no, McCoy's was on that saying, if he ever did that, you know, to someone like Walter Smith, that would have been it.
Aye, would have been at the door.
Flat out over. The fact that he comes off screaming at the manager, and you know, it's passion and whatever, and then comes on the bench next game. You know, no way.
And comes off the bench to play.
This guy's got no backbone. Did he come on?
Aye.
Oh, goodness grief.
He came on with about 15-20 minutes to go.
This guy's got no backbone then. You know, he's got no respect from the leaders in that dressing room. From Miller Wallace. Everyone else is screaming at him. Candias was screaming at him. He played.
It's just a huge sense of frustration from everyone, I think. Because let's face it, that Rangers team have not performed.
No.
At all.
No.
And they're pinning the blame on the manager, when in actual fact, the players are going to look at themselves. Especially for that Old Firm game. They were rank rotten.
Oh, no. And everyone's agreed with that. And it's a difficult situation for Murray, who's not really a manager, per se. You know?
He's not got the experience. This is all
exactly
big kind of learning points. You don't take a guy off in the first half hour of an Old Firm game like that. You at least wait till half time. And you avoid the kind of scenes on the cameras.
It's going badly.
It doesn't matter though. You don't.
If that's what you want to do, that's what you do.
It takes a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah, but you're the manager. You know, Halliday was not playing well at that point.
It didn't work. You could have took all of them off. Wouldn't have mattered.
At least he tried something. But that's what he got stick for the last time. Was it was too little, too late. He then tried something that affected the match earlier. Didn't
Too
go
much
his
too
way.
soon.
Well, I don't know. Rangers fans, you know, were pretty quiet at the game. It was a pretty muted atmosphere, despite the fact they're doing amazingly, according to some stupid statement this week again.
Mindless in the boardroom.
Aye.
You see that state of the...
Was this the banner?
Aye. Mindless in the boardroom, heartless on the pitch. We deserve better.
Well, right, the phrase "we deserve better" rubs me up the wrong way a bit.
I don't want to rub you up anyway.
John, let's not talk about the barbecue. But like, what a lot of people have been saying, you know, is if you play for the Glasgow Rangers, you should be expected to play a certain way.
Look at the quality you do it.
Yeah, you know, why should you have this godly gift to be amazing? And you know, why should Rangers have this godly gift to be amazing as well?
The thing is, individually they've got some really good players. Jimmy Murphy's a decent player. Doran's kind of former Premier League midfielder should be doing better.
Murphy's been a bit meh last week. He's been a bit of a lone warrior, I think, in the team.
You know what I mean? He's had Morelos to aim it, which is never helpful. Cummings has scored again. That's him. You know, every time he plays,
it was a sitter, but
it was. But he's in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
If that was Morelos, that was over the bar.
Oh, miles. It's totally gone. It'll be interesting to see what happens to him. So where's this run in the season going to go? Where are they going to fall in terms of Aberdeen, Hibs?
Enzo. Depends on how much Aberdeen bottle it.
Good win against Kilmarnock.
I think it mostly hinges on how Aberdeen perform and how Hibs perform as well. Because Hibs played Rangers in the last game.
Most brilliant non-answer I've ever had.
Okay, I think Rangers will finish 4th. But
depends.
That purely depends on what Aberdeen do. But Hibs do as well.
It does not help that they play Celtic next week. If they lose points against Celtic...
perspective, in our Rangers' perspective, because they're playing Celtic next week.
Well, if they lose points against Celtic, I don't think Aberdeen play Hibs next week, do they? No.
Oh God, you got me in the spot there.
I don't believe they play Hibernian next week. If they both take points, Aberdeen push ahead, puts the pressure on.
I have a funny feeling it's Edinburgh Derby next weekend as well. It might be because it's a Friday night.
Well, you would pin your colours on Hibernian. Don't watch that match, by the way. It'll be guff.
Oh, that'll be brilliant.
What, the match?
Aye. For once, Hibs have got something really to play for.
All the derbies this year have been mince. It's not looking good. He won't be manager at the end of the season. But
probably not.
Is there a road back for Miller and Wallace?
No, I think Miller's contract's up anyway. Luckily, Wallace leaving to go to the MLS, I think.
Right.
Him and Danny Wilson.
Scunnered a cushy wee, backroom job there, welcoming folk to hospitality and...
Kenny Miller definitely has, but I think he wanted to play for another season or two.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
So, we'll see how it goes for them. But it's going to be tough. They got the result they wanted today. They got a win. Wasn't pretty.
No.
But, I seen back on the road again.
It was better, but Hearts were incredibly defensive. Only really...
This is just Levine. Levine will no last. If I was a Hearts fan, I'd be claiming there was.
But he's changing things. 2 strikers signed in on a pre-contract. He's looking to change that forward line because Lafferty hasn't really panned out. Naismith
definitely hasn't.
No, Naismith's open to staying apparently. Though I wouldn't be too fussed about finding the money in the budget for him.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Aye. And it has been difficult. It's a lot of rotation in that squad this year. But they have
signed a lot of players in January and not done very much.
That Amankawa is rubbish. And they're so defensive away from home. It's ridiculous.
It's grim to watch. And that's what ruins it. Goes back to Copa 90's. That kills Scottish football. Is ridiculous defending like that. Just go for it. What have you got to lose?
You sound like a Dundee fan all of a sudden, John.
Well, I'd rather not, but...
Did you hear the handbag fisticuffs between...
Again?
Oh, there was a whole 15 minutes on Sports Scene basically dedicated to this sassy gossip coverage, with the BBC reporters like, what do you think of him? What do you think of him? Did you hear what he said about you? And it was this really gossipy playground, and you're like, guys, just leave it. It's a whole nut and nothing. But by the by, no one actually cares about the bottom 6 anymore, apart from the bottom 2.
I don't know, it's quite interesting actually.
How so?
When you're looking at what Dundee... They're about 5 clear of the playoffs now, so they're looking okay. St Johnstone are absolutely safe. You've got Partick County and Hamilton all fighting out for it.
I think Hamilton will probably be okay.
I don't know. I watched the highlights of the Partick game, and
Thought they were a bit lucky.
Partick showed a wee bit of spirit.
Aye. Well, they would have, though, on like John Lambie Day or whatever they were christening it.
Hamilton pulled out their usual tactics of just hurt people as hard as they can, and that was a shocking challenge.
Oh, aye.
Studied the boy right in the back of the calf.
Was it McKinnon?
No. Well, you would have expected to be.
Aye.
There anymore.
Was it Darian?
I can't remember the name of the guy. But it was a ridiculous challenge, and that'll hurt Hamilton, I think. I do think it'll be County get relegated. In fact, they couldn't beat Motherwell, who have nothing to play for.
Motherwell have been pretty dismal in the league of late.
Their entire focus is going to be in that cup for the next 4 or 5 games, so there is points to be had off them.
Stephen Robinson was one of the advocates in that Copa 90 documentary. I didn't even watch the highlights of the Ross County Motherwell game.
There's some decent saves, but crowd was... And
Doolin getting 100 goals for Partick. If you're there long enough, you'll get them.
Terrific header.
Aye. It is interesting.
It'll be good to see. I can't remember how the fixtures go next weekend. The top of my head, but it's going to be tough, really tough, and I'll go right into the last weekend.
Well, we shall see. Championship season wraps up next weekend as well.
Aye, last games.
So that run into the playoffs.
That's looking quite tight as
Hopefully, if it remains close, they don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you're looking at was Smyrna getting the trophy against Morton, 2-1 win. Liam Morgan's last home game. They now have Falkirk next week.
They'll turn up in numbers for that.
I'll not be going to. Livy secured second spot, which is really quite interesting because they now have 2 weeks to completely rest their entire squad.
Well, they play Inverness,
who have everything to play for, given that they beat someone on Tuesday night.
Yeah, but then they drew with Dunfermline at the weekend, which meant that they now remain, I think, 4 points behind Dunfermline, with 1 game in hand.
Yeah, which is away to Livingston on Tuesday night.
So, presumably, they'll beat Livingston because Livingston are...
Well, if Livingston have any sense, they'll unrest their entire squad.
They're home and dry. Do you rest them on Tuesday? Nah, I don't know. I think you probably still play a pretty strong squad to keep everything...
No, I would absolutely just stop it there.
They're going to have to play a good team at some point. So, if Inverness win that, which we presume they will, it's still out of their hands, but it would mark a remarkable turnaround.
Aye.
From a few months ago.
It's just going to show you how tight and how rubbish that league is, really, in quality wise. It's exciting, no doubt.
But they've done nothing but drop players, and yet they've increased their performances and their points all to overtake people like Morton, Quay the South is quite impressive.
I mean, given their start, given how Falkirk started as well, Inverness did stick with John Robertson. It was a big turnaround in players. Signed Nathan Austin in January, who now seems to be finding the net.
Player of the week last week.
Funny that, eh? This Falkirk striker leaves and starts banging them in for fun.
Something must be wrong with the place.
Aye, well. So we'll see how they go. Looking at the fixtures of the last weekend, Dundee United are at home at Livingston.
The Rutland game.
Well, maybe not. If you assume that Inverness win on Tuesday night, so you've got 3 teams effectively could finish 3rd, 4th or 5th. Dundee United could follow completely.
Right.
So
I think they'll be alright.
Home at Livingston should be resting players. Dunfermline are home at Dumbarton.
Should be alright.
You would assume Dumbarton will be resting all their players for the playoffs.
The relegation playoffs.
Dunfermline having to play for. Inverness are away to Morton. That's a tough game.
The thing with Morton is, I've been reading, some of the comments of the fan section, and their away attendance at St Mirren this weekend was appalling.
Well, you can understand why.
Oh, you can understand why. But a lot of them are very, very frustrated about this season's performance, which I find quite baffling because I think they're incredibly lucky to be, in that league and consistently, at the kind of top end of that league. So I think they see a 6th place finish as a bit of a failure.
I think it's frustration. It's a bit like, you could draw comparisons, I suppose, to Falkirk, and that, they've been hitting the playoffs the last 3 or 4 seasons, reasonable kind of performances, some good players like Aidan Nesbitt that they got on loan from Celtic was fantastic last season.
Not there anymore though.
He went back, they haven't really replaced that quality, and I think that's the pure frustration has lay. It's hard to have a go at Jim Duffy because he has done a remarkable job there.
Oh, insane.
No doubt.
It's been a surprise he's not really been picked up by anyone else. So.
Again, just a bit of a write-off for a season for him. I don't know how they'll take that game. It's a bit in it.
If it's at home, last home game of the season,
you might want to go in a high. Inverness,
all guns blazing.
Could be playing for everything. Could be playing for pride.
It makes it interesting. I think Dunfermline would be a bit narked not to make the playoffs because they've been kind of building slowly but surely.
They had a wee bit of kind of momentum.
Aye.
Dundee United, I don't think they deserve it, to be honest.
Well, they're there.
They've
righted the ship in the last few games, and with a few signings they've made in between times, it's shored up their defensive problems.
I believe it or not, signing Moshney and you're fine.
Well, Moshney's he's alright.
Well,
as much as we think, banter player and stuff.
Total liability. Put him in a proper pressure game and he'll crumble.
Yeah, but he's in the Championship, there's no such thing.
Well.
And then, a few key players coming back at key times, they could be sorting themselves out.
There they go. It's certainly big that Livingston are getting this 2-week break. I don't think
that could be a help or a hindrance though.
It's good. I don't think they've got a big squad. They've played a lot of games, a lot of really physical games.
I think that game to confirm their 2nd place, there was 500 people there.
Really?
So despite their success, they are still not getting bodies out to those games, which I think is a crying shame.
It's really disappointing. I don't know if they would pick up maybe in the Premiership. Hard to say.
Well, you'd have to steal all the Rangers fans.
So the Hearts fans and longest.
Hearts fans as well. Yeah. So hopefully that boy Ryan Hardy just keeps banging them in. It is ridiculous.
Would have been seeing him in the Navy Blue next season.
Good luck with that, pal. He is long gone. I think he's playing so well he could push a case for himself to be in the Rangers first team.
Should we could bet it now?
What?
Could bet it now.
Probably. Something else we heard about the Rangers this week though was their new kit deal with Hummel.
Ah, yes.
A kit manufacturer we're quite familiar with in Scotland. The famous chevrons of course, we've seen Hearts kit the years they were taken over. Emblazoned. They also used to do cool trainers at like kind of snazzy sort of niche places and stuff.
Can't remember them.
But
I wasn't cool.
Well, I didn't have any; they were too expensive. But it got us kind of thinking of kind of niche, cult footballing brands and like cool kits. We remember, particularly of years gone by, where there was much more of an assortment of kit makers than there perhaps is now.
Quite monopolised Adidas, Puma, and Nike, and that's it.
Well, no, people like Macron with the more independent teams.
Motherwell do Macron.
Motherwell, Inverness, Hibernian do Macron.
What was the one that St Mirren had recently? Was it
Cabrini?
Well,
that's just JD.
Which was really bizarre. I still find that really weird.
Why?
I think Dundee United had it as well.
They did, yes, for a time.
Oh, where did they come from?
Well, that was just a JD brand. In the same way that we have like Sundico kits, which are essentially Sports Direct.
Mm-hmm. That's them.
Some teams down south.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, there's none up here. It's like Cheltenham or Chesterfield or something like that, who I think are being relegated. Had some Sundico kits.
I remember Hibs having a Lecoq Sportif.
Lecoq Sportif, classic brand.
I remember that must have been mid 2000s, 04, 05.
They used to be sponsored by Carlsberg at one point, and then what I would like to call in Mackay because the whiskey's dire. But it was a cool kit. Back at the time. Other cool ones I remember, Kappa. Can't go wrong with a Kappa kit.
I can't remember who had a Kappa kit.
Up here, I don't think anyone's had a Kappa kit. Down south, people have. Like, I'm sure Fulham for a while.
Every chance. I can't remember off the top of my head.
And there's some dead smart Italian ones. I had a Roma kit when I was younger that was Kappa.
I do remember them.
Maroon and orange.
Yeah, they were classics.
We used to have a place, right, and if you remember this, in Falkirk there used to be something called the InShops. And there was InShops in Aberdeen and I believe in other cities as well.
This is where Debenhams is now.
Debenhams is now. But in there used to be just wee independent work as well. And there was a football kit shop that didn't sell the newest kits, but they had just like old stock stuff for kind of cheaper and stuff like that. So we would always go in there and like the kits I got in there, like I got an old Newcastle United, goalie top. I'm sure I got my first Barcelona kit, and they were only 1 or 2 years old, but like much discounted, but like all over Europe and really really cool. And that like the retro kit market now's kind of killed that because it's all like expensive.
They go really far back now. Well, I was trying to find an old Scotland top, the one from France.
Aye.
The white and the light blue saltire.
Yes.
Always wanted one, was never given one. Crying shame.
Well, I'm sure I've got that. It doesn't fit me anymore.
First world problems.
That was Diadora. That was another.
Diadora, aye.
St Mirren, I'm sure, were Diadora for a while, weren't they?
Every chance, because they used to they sponsored the footballs for the Scottish Cup.
Did they?
Yeah.
Basically anything Italian we will like give a massive tick to.
Fantastic. Falkirk used to have a TFG kit.
TFG used to make a lot of kits for smaller teams.
Was that the initials? It was TFG.
Yeah, TFG.
They did up to about...
They used to do Motherwell kits and stuff too.
2006, and then they got someone else who I had never heard of before.
Lotto.
They were French. Was that French or Italian?
I don't know, but Lotto were quite famous because they had that red. They've got that red diamond logo. Yeah, I totally forgot about Lotto.
They had Lotto. That was when they did the retro kit.
Yeah,
for
the cup throwback.
Was a Lotto kit because I was thinking, who the fuck are these guys? Like, because they did football boots as well.
Yes,
and they just look like Puma knockoffs. Like,
yes, yeah, not a premium brand per se.
Well, Falkirk won the cheap bit. Remember them?
Something smart, but something different.
But there's been a fair few really like quite smart kits.
I've loved the Morton kits I like because they've got millions in front of them, but those are self-made. I don't know how and I don't know where. Kilmarnock made their own as well for a period of time. I think they've now gone to Nike. Throwbacks as well. Canterbury made kits for a while. So
I know most rugby kits. So
Motherwell had Canterbury kits, and I'm sure a few other teams. And New Balance was a bit of a left field one. That was new.
New Balance have kind of came onto the fore. Celtic in particular.
Wait, have you seen the new Celtic kit?
Nah.
Well, I don't know.
Just a standard Celtic kit, really.
I know you can't really do much for the hoops. Not the team, the kit. Sorry. But what do you say to when do you release your kit? When's the most optimum time? Because Celtic will most likely wear that last game of the season, and that's quite a popular time.
It is quite a popular time. It doesn't always work out.
It's quite a long time. Like they'll have the whole summer to kind of keep the hype around the new kit. I think.
Not like, if I remember correctly, they're certainly released kind of the annual award night, the big reveal.
Right.
Really cares.
Unless it's Air United.
I'd go.
Like if you understand where that joke comes from.
Absolutely. I'm sure Stenny were notorious for that one time.
Oh, really? Well, they signed fucking Mackie D's now, so
well,
times are tough.
There you go.
I know for me as an Aberdeen fan, the kit's usually released in the middle of summer or like really late, and you're like, oh come on, I've been waiting. There's the big tease. You're like, oh come on. And then they released their away kit this year. I was like, oh. And then every time I've watched them in it, they've lost. So, if you're a red team, don't wear a blue kit. That's my advice.
I never went down too well though. Blue kit.
I liked it because it was my favourite colour, but I can see why. Celtic would never come out with a blue away kit, and Rangers would never come out with a green away kit. It's just not. And Hearts would never have a green away kit. Well, look back. Tell me if that's ever been a thing. I'd be interested to know.
Probably not.
Or Falkirk would never do white with black stripes. It's just no.
Well, their colours though.
Joma. That's another one that's a bit left field.
Joma.
I'm sure Dunfermline's a Joma kit.
Probably.
So when's the optimum time to release the kit, John?
After the last game of the season.
You think?
You're not cursed.
Do you think you wear it in the last game of the season?
No. That's a cardinal sin. It just happens too often, especially for Falkirk, and they always lose.
See, I think what I found really weird was Cup final last season. I think Aberdeen turned out in their new home kit, and I was like,
lost.
That's a bold move.
You never win when you do that.
No, I know. It's not good for continuity for the pictures and stuff like that.
Scotland have done it. Remember they played Georgia to qualify for Euro 2008.
Gosh.
New kit lost.
Bit of cash in.
Doesn't work. Never works.
You
release it in the close season.
I haven't bought a Scotland kit in ages.
I don't think I've ever bought a Scotland kit.
I'm not in the habit of buying many football kits anymore, to be honest. Unless I'm like completely
dumbstruck.
And to be fair, I've got like 10 PSG kits because I think they're smart. But I don't wear them out in public that much anymore. I don't think it's.
I went up in the gym, just wearing them. But
you don't wear it like up the high street and stuff. It's just no the done thing.
It's just not.
People would used to.
It's not social etiquette.
It's
not.
not.
Be honest.
I think it used to be, but perhaps not so much.
Probably did.
I remember when I used to go jogging in Aberdeen wearing the Falkirk kit, it used to turn a few heads. I think more to the fact of what is that? Especially when you're running by Pittodrie and they're like, is there some player trying to get a trial? Oh, I'll come in, no bother.
You buy your kit for going on holiday during the summer.
Oh, aye.
And you wear it and then abroad. You look for the kind of random kits, which is great.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any interesting ones I've spotted. When I went to York recently, a few Leeds kits out in the wild. You don't see that often. They're quite popular though. I think if I've been abroad, if I've seen anything that fancy, I don't think so.
Not particularly. I mean, I went to that LA Galaxy Vancouver game. There was a couple of boys in Celtic tops.
Was there?
Aye.
It's weird.
They were there to shout abuse at Kenny Miller like me.
Well, Celtic is free.
I'm trying to think. You've seen a lot of kind of Mexican club shirts. Unam was one of them. Tigre. First time I've ever seen a Tigre top.
I'm sure I saw them in like the Nike store in New York.
Yeah, it's
like
the
football section. It's the only really stuff they had was South American.
Absolutely stunning. I don't remember seeing very much when you're in Spain and stuff.
No,
it's quite partisan when you go there though.
Well, you've seen some Belgrade shirts.
Ah well.
Joke of the week. But
talking of partisan, did you see the Napoli bus leaving for Juventus?
Oh, were they
yesterday
bombing it?
Whoa. Could they move for flares and all that? I was like,
what, to support them or?
I had to support them. This was leaving Naples. How absolutely outrageous.
I don't understand how that's a supportive thing. I would just feel intimidated and scared.
That's brilliant. That's when you know you're up for it.
Right, well, St Mirren fans, rally around your team bus as they come to the Falkirk Stadium on Saturday. Get them.
Plenty of space.
Aye. Oh gosh, that stand will be crammed and it'll be so loud.
Oh, they'll be in the main stand as well, probably.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So if you hear the sound levels are all wrong at Falkirk, that is my fault. So do blame me, as we fell short of music last time. That was also my fault.
That's fine. I'm escaping to Newcastle, so
Yeah. Your passion for Scottish football, and you're going to see a Premier League game.
that's what it is. No, I'm going to support Mark Ritchie. It's alright.
Is he not English by birth or something? Anyway, so
Don't care.
it's by the by.
The man's a god.
But no other kit manufacturers we'd like to see. Stone Island, of course, would sell like hotcakes, and
Yes, probably would.
they'd love those wee patches on their armbands. Oh, not their armbands, on their
After the
sleeves.
captain's band with it.
There you go. Oh gosh, can you imagine? Oh, the state of Scottish football. I can imagine that in the next 10 years.
A Burberry away kit.
Again, that would have sold really well.
That would have really well, actually.
See, I don't think clubs are adventurous enough with their kits. You know, I would love to see more kind of retro designs and, you know, bring back all those like funky gradients and stuff they used to have.
I don't know. Like, they were fine at the time when you can release them every now and again. If you do it every year, they're no longer.
I know. But there needs to be change. Like, the amount of time your club's new kit, and you wait all year, it comes out and you're like...
What I'd like to see them start doing actually is just rotate between the new home and new away.
That's what Livingston did, isn't
the
it?
The MLS do this. It's quite good. Because you're effectively getting 2 seasons out of the one kit.
Well, that's what Livingston did this season. Their home kit became their away kit became their home kit. So they're now playing black and yellow at home instead of yellow and black. Stirling Albion's home kit, I think, has lasted for the last like 3 seasons or something.
Doesn't make much sense to change it, really.
Well, if you're not selling many, then...
Why bother? But, you know, Falkirk they could keep their home kit for this season, get rid of the hideous red one that they've got now. Maybe factor in some white shorts in the home kit. I don't like the all blue.
So it's a change. I was thinking that the day when I was watching Partick Thistle, who were in red shorts. I much prefer the black, the kind of traditional. I don't know if that was a change of shorts or whatever. But
there you go. Passion tips.
Aye. Yeah. But no, I think that about rounds us off for this week, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining me, John.
Good, Paul.
And a huge thank you for listening from myself. Tune in next week when I think we'll be doing our Falkirk season review next week.
Championship review.
Not the championship review. That's
there's not much to talk about Falkirk, so I'll just rant and have an aneurysm.
There's always lots to talk about with Falkirk. And then season reviews to follow. So stay tuned for that. We'll have lots of good things to follow. So thank you very much if you have got this far. Do like and subscribe, it helps us a lot. But anyway, we'll see you next week and have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Bye bye.